Enough inhumanity, enough corruption, enough insanity, and enough obstruction, enough police shooting, and enough obeying Putin, enough climate change denying, enough of our kids dying, enough of the Klan, and enough of that man. This election is our democracy's last stand.
Well, if you're like me, you've probably had enough. Enough of the lies, the hate-mongering, corruption, and insanity. I'm Michael D'Antuono, the artist sometimes referred to as the Rockwell of the Resistance. I'm also an activist and a very, very concerned citizen. Two things I'd rather not have to be. But unfortunately, I do. As do we all. Because we're trying to survive the biggest threat to this nation we've ever had. Donald Trump. But there's some good news. We have an election coming up. If we manage to survive to November, we might be able to save our democracy, some lives, and who knows, maybe even the planet. This is no time to have a mentally challenged Tony Soprano running the country. Even more alarming is he's enabled by his sycophantic cohorts in Congress, all of whom have pretty much proven they'd be willing to sell out our democracy for a few rubles. So we will inform, entertain, and inspire, raising awareness of the dire need to vote out the heartlessly corrupt. With my paintings on institutional racism, climate change, the economy, and other important issues. We'll be joined by best-selling author and MSNBC contributor, my friend Malcolm Nance. And the godfather of street art, my friend Ron English. Ron's iconic art has been admired on the streets, galleries, and museums for his admiring fans around the world. He's spread his iconoclastic brand of creativity to virtually every medium. Murals, paintings, film, books, toys, and music. Without Ron, there'd be no Banksy or Shepard Fairey. Just plain buildings that don't inspire critical thought. So let's bring him on. You're going to hear from best-selling author Malcolm Nance in just a couple of minutes. But first, we're going to talk with my friend and the father of street art, Ron English. So, Ron, hello.
Hey, where's the coffee?
The coffee. Oh, I forgot.
What's up? Promise coffee.
Yes, because we have coffee very regularly and discuss the world's problems and don't solve them, but the coffee's good. And now with this coronavirus, we don't even have coffee.
Well, I noticed that, since we've stopped having coffee, the world has caught a huge virus, and now they're all rioting and burning everything down. So maybe we were solving some problems. I don't know.
Maybe we were, because as soon as we stopped, it all went to hell, didn't it? All right, so here we got a president. This is what we're going to solve today. Okay. We got a president who pays off porn stars, presumably so they don't give him a Yelp rating. I don't know. What else does he do? Well, he tells people to drink bleach, and the coronavirus will magically go away. And in his defense, if you drink enough bleach, it will go away. You'll be dead, but yeah. And what else? I mean, all the things that he does, and you and I list them regularly, but yet he has this base that no matter what he does, they're behind him.
Right, because sometimes God picks a flawed person to do his will. But weirdly, he never picks a Democrat. He always picks a flawed Republican.
That's just redundant.
Yeah.
So, Ron, I think it's diversity that makes America great. And I'd sure like to send that message to that retarded Tony Soprano in the White House. What do you think makes America great?
I think Trump makes America great. It's like, I think that we've overcome a lot of stuff with him. I think people used to have a hard time with drag queens. Now we got a drag queen president. He wears makeup. He wears more makeup than Kiss. And, that would have freaked people out 10 years ago, but now they're kind of like used to the idea. So I think he's opened up a lot. That's not what you were going for, right? No, honestly, I think that people come here to this country for a reason. And a lot of times they came from very oppressive type of situations. So they actually appreciate what this country has been. And yeah, no, it's not been the greatest country, and it's fucked up a lot of stuff. But at the same time, this is where you come to make magic. This is where you come to make your fortune. This is where you come to have great ideas, and we can help you make those great ideas. And there's not a lot of countries that can say that.
No, this is the great melting pot. Nobody else has called that, right?
Right.
Right.
But
And
all the great art movements
demonizing.
they came because people from all over the world came here and made it happen. You're right. The melting pot made the great art.
Do you believe? I believe that this election really is democracy's last stand. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, I think that either we're going to stay America and the America we've been dreaming of and live the American dream, or we're going to go down a very, very dark path. And yes, some people are going to do really great. You know, my wife is from Iran. And when this shit happened to them, some people did really great. But I don't think that they're doing that great. It's like, yeah, we get to cut the head off of artists for, drawing the parliament. Aren't we great? It's like, that's not my idea of greatness. And I know that's a lot of people's idea of greatness. And I know they like what's happening. But I don't. I don't think that's what ever made us great.
I don't think too many people would be happy in the end if Trump gets reelected somehow.
Well, even the people that adore him because he's a wonderful celebrity and, they would like to be as rich as him or as rich as they think he is, they're going to suffer greatly. Once he gets like absolute power, their lives are just as screwed as ours are. They're not going to do any better than us. Hell, we'll probably do better than they do. It's insane. I think they do not know what they're doing. Or as Jesus once said, they know not what they do. Forgive them, Lord, They know not what they do.
That's what Peter Yarrow was telling me on the next episode after this about the same thing. Don't hate the person, hate the thing they're doing.
Right. And but it's like every day the Trumpies sell off another thing. It's like, well, I guess we don't respect the military anymore because our guy doesn't respect the military. But they give away everything a day at a time. And at some point, what do you have left? Who are you? What do you represent? What are you for? He's taken it all away from you, like a piece at a time, and you defend it over and over again. Who are you?
That's true. That's true. Now, I think we're going to go back. We're going to go maybe to Malcolm now. Is that correct? So let's hear a little bit from Malcolm, and then we're coming back to Ron and I. As promised, I'm here with my very good friend, an MSNBC contributor and best-selling author of numerous books on detailing the relationship between Putin and Trump. A person I think should be considered the Paul Revere of our time, my friend Malcolm Nance. So Malcolm, you've been a big contributor of mine for a while, and could you tell me why you think that the art is important at this point in time?
Well, first off, your art's been important for some time. It's not really a question of is it important right now. The things that Mike paints about are so varied, but what they are is they're really a chronicle of everything that we're doing, everything that we're seeing in this period of really chaos. A lot of your work goes back really far. I mean, some of the things that you were showing from oil spills to the inequality of children in school, those are almost timeless now. But it's only recently in the Trump administration era that you've managed to capture in very Norman Rockwell-like fashion, and that essence of how the average American is being victimized by this, and the other is how horrible these people really are. And that's why your paintings evoke really strong feelings in myself and many other of my peers in news media who see your work. They love it. You're not like that crazy guy McNaughton, right? The Republican who, shows lies, like Obama burning the Constitution. Donald Trump is beholden to powers that are outside of this country, and they affect this country, and much of your art shows that.
How can people use my art to help the cause?
Well, first off, it's just a question of having seen it. Mm-hmm. This great painting of diversity, which is one of my favorites. My family, virtually everybody in my family has a copy of that poster because it really shows the struggle that the average American is involved with now in trying to broaden and make the United States what Lincoln called a more perfect union. That's being torn down, that's being destroyed right now. And this image, amongst others, is one that shows that we aren't monolithic. This isn't a one-color society. We are made up of the motto, e pluribus unum, from many one. And for those of you who think that it's just some quaint saying, it is the literal words under the Statue of Columbia at the top of the United States Capitol, from many one. And this painting, which shows diversity, this painting shows from many comes one unified nation. And that is what's under attack right now, the 144-year concept of the American experiment.
Well, I have to agree. I have to agree with Malcolm, and who wouldn't? But in strength, there's numbers. United we stand, and divided we fall. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think Malcolm should be our president. I would be able to sleep at night. But no, of course, it's like if you have a band, what makes the band great? Well, maybe I'm a great lyricist, and he's a great singer, and he's a great bass player. But if you peel apart any part of the band, they can't make it. It's like when Mick Jagger tried to be the Rolling Stones without the rest of the guys, didn't work. When Keith Richards thought, I'm going to do a solo career and I can be the Rolling Stones without Mick. I know Mick's hard to deal with, but if you really want to be the Rolling Stones, you got to have him in the band. And I think that's what we're kind of talking about. We're trying to, cut the country in half, have a civil war, take out half of the country, but you will never be great again. It's impossible. We need all of us to be great.
Absolutely. Malcolm also was talking about all the money on the right, how that one artist, the conservative yin to my liberal yang, has he's selling his paintings for lots of money because that's where the money is in the rich.
Sure,
and that's an example.
Right? Are you sure he's selling his paintings? Because a lot of people lie about stuff like that.
Oh, would they lie? I find that so hard to believe. But what's not a lie is all the money is at the top. It's not. The money is not equally distributed, even close. I mean, the wealth gap is getting worse and worse regularly. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, but sometimes I wonder if that is not like a weirdly natural human instinct, and the whole concept of America is really a weird dreamlike aberration. Because like if you go to another country, or if you go to Thailand or somewhere, it seems like everybody's really poor, but then they'll have this great like not church, but you know what I mean, great monastery or something, and it's built with millions of tiny little beautiful little pieces. So each one of those pieces represents a person. So like that collectively they let's give it all to one person. Like in a weird way, like if I had to explain who Trump is, he's an avatar. It's like I work at a factory in the Midwest. I make $40,000 a year. You can get nowhere on that kind of money. And I can't do anything. I can't beat the system, but you know what? I can help him be the richest guy in the world. And when he drives by in a limo, I could point and say, that's my billionaire right there. I helped make him a billionaire. Now, I'll never be a billionaire. I won't even be a millionaire. But, I made him, and I'm part of that. And I think it's a weird human instinct, to launch one guy into space while the rest of us sit here at home.
Well, I wish he were a much more honest billionaire. That's another problem. I mean, the guy lies more than, more than the Pope prays. So,
but a lie is absolutely useless. I can't lie to you. It's not going to work. You have to have a recipient for the lie. Somebody has to be ready to believe. So they have to be in a weird suspension of disbelief. So he is nothing without followers that are willing to believe anything he says.
Oh, that's true.
So in a weird way, the guilt lies with them.
Yeah. Speaking of
lying,
lying,
when he was trying to sell the healthcare system, in a way, he's like, okay, I got everybody to throw away their healthcare system. Now, you Republicans, you have a shiny new healthcare system behind the hospital because we're about to blow up the hospital. They've agreed. We're getting rid of the hospital. Now, you do have a shiny golden hospital behind it, right? And they're like, wow, we didn't think you were that good because we got nothing.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe you sold them that. You're good. If you have a bridge like in Brooklyn, maybe you could sell them. But I mean, yeah. So it's equally, there's equal responsibility on the people that are so gullible and they buy everything that he says. You know, they're just as guilty. In a way, they're more, because he's kind of a little bit of a sociopath and a narcissist, and he's never been anything but what he is, and he never will be anything but what he is. But those people bought into it.
Yeah.
You know, in a way, they're more guilty than he is.
I could see that. So, Ron, here's your little quiz. You ready? This is part quiz show also. You will, if you could name 5 lies that Donald Trump has said, you win an autographed poster.
Okay, climate change is a hoax. I didn't collude with Russia.
Bing.
I never cheated on any of my wives. I don't know. You have all day. What was today's? I never dissed the troops. I've only praised them. I never dissed John McCain. I only praised him. Never mind, like all those tweets that are archived.
There's just too many. We don't have time. We don't. But you did. Congratulations. You won an autographed poster.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, not one of mine. One of yours. But
oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's okay. Well, anyway, all right. So that was a great video about his tweeting and all like that. What do you think? What do you think our odds are? And try to be a little optimistic. You think if we pull together, like that painting behind me, if we all pull together, we could beat this guy. We could bring back our democracy.
Well, I would say probably 2/3, or I would say, yeah, at least 2/3 of America are not going to vote for Trump, or they want Biden. I think the weird problem that we're going into is we're about to have a race, and I got a brand new pair of Nikes, and my opponent has a Cadillac, and so it's weird that we're going into this thinking he's already going to cheat, he's already going to steal so much of it before, you know. So like we have to win in like 50 landslides just to break even. That's kind of weird, you know.
It's very weird.
But you know, like Putin gets 90% of the vote.
That's what
I guarantee you, if he wins this time, the next election he will get 90% of the vote.
Yeah. It's not so weird in Russia. It's weird here. It's never happened here. And
yeah, but everything, you know, happened. You know, yeah, I think it hasn't happened here, but here we go. We won't be able to say that in a couple of years.
Well, hopefully, it's just going to go smooth. We're going to have Biden and Kamala, and it's going to work out fine.
Well, you know what? I am ready to be bored. I am ready to just, oh yeah, things are kind of boring. It's like, oh yeah, they finally got a vaccine for that stupid virus, and everything's just back to normal. And it's like, wow.
So I just want to paint flowers and landscapes and pretty scenes and pretty.
I know. Then I have to talk to all my old friends about, you know, painting and music and who's cutting a new good album now, and oh, there's this great show on TV, and like, you know, here's a great place to vacation, and oh my God, I've eaten at this restaurant, it's amazing. You know, it's like we're gonna have to talk about normal stuff again. I don't know if I'm ready yet. You know,
I'm very ready. I'm very ready to see human beings in person.
No, I mean, it's like we've been drinking Tang for the last 4 years, and now we have to drink real orange juice again. I don't know if I'm ready, man. It tastes too natural.
Okay.
How about you, Mike? Are you ready? Are you ready?
I am very ready, and that's why we're doing. I'm giving 50% of the proceeds of these paintings just because I want to live in a country that
where you can make those kind of paintings.
Where I can make those paintings. These could be the last anti-Trump paintings you'll ever see if we don't get our heads together and work together.
Yeah.
So are we going to hear from Malcolm now?
I think we figured out who the cowards are in this country, and now we got to figure out who the heroes are.
Yes, the morally bankrupt, and the rest of us will be just plain bankrupt if this continues.
Well, it's funny. So many people in my life I used to look up to, and then like one by one, you realize, well, they don't respect the troops. They don't respect the minimum wage. Just like one thing after the other, and you realize, why did I ever look up to you? It's like you're a moral bankruptcy, man. They wanted to buy cheap red hats from China and then bitch at me, who by the way, my clothes are made in the United States of America and shipped to China, and they want to take a dump on me. Meanwhile, it's like, you know, because my company isn't as big as Trump's company, you know, I'm too little, you know. It's like, I'm doing the right thing, dude. You know, you're buying hats from some guy making them in China, and then you're bitching about like they're shipping all the jobs to China. It's like, what the fuck, you know?
Yep. Absolutely. All right, let's see what Malcolm has to say about all this.
Okay.
Oh. Malcolm, you of course know the reason we're here today, to raise funds to replace partisans with public servants.
Yeah, that's exactly why we're here. And you just can't do that. This is a modern world. You just don't go up, throw a dollar into a bucket these days. We have to raise real money. And that's why I think it's just wonderful that you have this art that's really evocative, and it's being offered to the public in such a way that they can actually own a huge piece of this second American Revolution, right? On the conservative side of the ledger, they have really their own artist, a guy by the name of McNaughton, who's done some extremely provocative art and has raised millions of dollars by selling this. There was one piece of art that was in the former Speaker of the House's office showing President Barack Obama burning the Constitution. All right? First off, it was based entirely on a lie. And that's the difference between your art and his art. Your art is based on the truth of what we all see with our own eyes, right? No one's saying Donald Trump is setting fire to the Capitol or anything like that. He's in his own world. And your best works of art are the ones that show the African American experience. And look, as somebody from that community, I was moved to tears the first time I saw it, and so were many of the people who've seen your work. It has inherent value, and that value, which I know at one point you had an auction that was well into the mid-six figures before eBay canceled the auction. The value of it is the fact that it captures a true American essence. If Norman Rockwell were alive today, that painting would have been his painting.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. As far as eBay is concerned, what happened with that, I was auctioning off this piece, A Tale of Two Hoodies, in response to George Zimmerman trying to profit from his notoriety for killing Trayvon Martin. I was so incensed, I auctioned this piece on eBay. I had a 7-day auction, and on the second day, I was about to pass what he got, which was $100,000. And Zimmerman's auction ended with $100,000 he was rewarded for his first time painting. But I was passing him. I was already up to $50,000 on the second day, and it was going up, but we were definitely going to pass his number, which the point was to prove that Americans are not racist, that they support the victim more than the killer. And I mean, that's why I did it. And what happened was I got a call, just as we're about to break the record there. We got a call from eBay, and what did they tell us? We took your painting off. And I said, well, why is that? And they said, well, because it goes against our policy of not glamorizing hate groups. Well, you just let a killer of a black kid make $100,000 off of his reputation. That's glamorizing it. I'm giving half of the money to the Trayvon Martin Foundation. So that argument they couldn't argue with. So then they told me, well, you know what? That's besides the point. We don't allow anything with KKK symbols on eBay. So what could I do? But I did. It got some press, and I got some letters. And somebody wrote to me and says, just go on eBay and look up how many KKK items are for sale. And it was about 1,500. And some of them were glamorizing the hate group.
Look, Vincent van Gogh didn't sell a lot of his artwork as a contemporary. I'm not saying you got to die and cut your ear off, but I can tell you the first moment I saw A Tale of Two Hoodies in its large format oil splendor, and I was floored. I was just absolutely flabbergasted. And between that one, The Talk, and the one you did of President Obama, my first thought of this art was, this should all be in the African American History Museum. This art really captures that. And this is why, again, I always evoke Norman Rockwell, who lives near me. I live near Norman Rockwell's museum, and I love that art because it literally captures the true meaning of Americana, as does these paintings. And for eBay to have stopped that, but to allow George Zimmerman, a man who murdered a child, to get away with it is an anathema. But this art is invaluable. I own a piece a private piece that someday I hope I'll be able to donate to a future President Barack Obama presidential library. But it truly captures the essence of African American experience.
Well, the African American experience is not obviously something I know of firsthand. I've learned about it through my paintings, actually. I could only try to empathize. So I can't understand what they're going through, but I do know that obviously racism is definitely wrong. Based on the color of your skin, it would be just as ridiculous to judge somebody by the color of their eyes or, God forbid, their height. So I just find that a totally useless reason to make people's lives worse. And it's definitely gotten worse over the last 4 years. Would you say, Ron, that he's given license to racists?
I had no idea there were that many racists still left out there, you know? Okay, like I've never experienced, you know, being a black person and having that against me. But you know, in the 70s, I had long hair, and you would go, we would all leave for lunch from our job, and the sign would say no long hairs, right? And then we would all have to go to another restaurant, and I was hurt and humiliated. And to this day, I'm still mad about that. Now, then one day, like all the rednecks grew their hair long, and whatever that was, it was a very minor blip in the history of things. But just that small experience of that for that very short period of time, I'm still mad about that. I'm still hurt about that. I still hate those sons of bitches. You know what I mean? So yeah, I can't imagine. But you know, empathy is being able to at least try to imagine what it's like to be somebody else. And also, you know, also a weird thing with me is like, well, like I don't know, my old roommate Dred Scott. It's like it's like he gets into the upper echelons of the art world, but at the same time, they also they kind of control him in a weird way. It's hard to explain, but it's just I think it's just a very very difficult thing to navigate. You know what I mean?
Well, empathy is, the Republicans are basically Democrats without the empathy. And that's true when it comes to racism. It's true when it comes to class and money. And it's true when it comes to soldiers. It's the whole GOP. But Trump in particular can't have any empathy for those who gave their lives in battle, as you know.
But you know that he may just be somebody from the upper class who maybe they all think that, you know, maybe they all think that's, you know, for the poor people to go die in the wars and the suckers and stuff. You know, maybe he just a loud mouth enough to say it outside those closed rooms. You know, I don't know what happens when the doors close. You know what I mean? I don't get that far into it. So maybe they're all like that. I don't know. But yeah, he definitely put it out there.
Yeah, I would think so. Now, someone asked me just recently here today, are there any new pieces I'm working on? I haven't worked on any new pieces since for a while. I've been concentrating on this show, trying to get, you know, people excited with the pieces I've already done and the conversations we're having to vote. And now that's an interesting question because whatever happens during the election, either we won't have to paint about all the injustices because there'll be fewer of them, or we won't be allowed to.
Well, you know, I was just telling somebody the other day, it's like, you know how we know when the world is good again? It's when Michael D'Antuono is painting a rose. You know, then we know things are starting to look up. In my opinion, things are usually going good when people are freaking out because Britney Spears showed her tit at the Super Bowl or some insane non sequitur about nothing. You know what I mean? That's the kind of stuff we should be talking about. You know, not why people are strutting up and down the streets with assault weapons and shooting people, and the president saying they're good people. You know, we shouldn't be in this place, man.
Well, it sounds like Ryder is going to introduce another painting of mine, and we'll talk about that a little bit, probably you and I.
Okay.
And then we'll go to one of your music videos.
Oh, cool! Thanks, my band, man.
Yay!
Michael's next painting is titled Down and Outsourced. It is 38 by 60 inches, framed. Here, Michael has created a painting that is both harrowing and inspirational. The painting juxtaposes the generosity of a homeless veteran with the selfishness, greed, and indifference of passers-by. In this painting, an unemployed businessman is consoled by a homeless vet. The businessman has probably walked by the vet many times without noticing or helping him, but now they are united by their shared destitution. Down and Out Source depicts the harsh reality of unemployment and the lack of care for U.S. veterans.
Okay, so there you go. Down and Out Source. Now there's another painting that actually is about lack of empathy. It's the only empathy for that guy who got obviously laid off that you see there with the cup, the mid-level executive, comes from the Good Samaritan, the homeless vet, who is a guy I actually found on the street begging in front of a Walmart parking lot, and that was his actual sign, a veteran. So in that painting, we I talk. It's about lack of empathy and care, both for our veterans and the class warfare, the rich people just walking right by him. Probably, in my imagination, the guy who got laid off also walked by him many times on his way to a tax-free lunch and never noticed him. And now, with the unemployment high as it is now, he too is invisible. Thoughts?
From me?
I always like to hear your thoughts.
Yeah,
just a little.
I think that the worst move that a society can make is put somebody in charge of things that has no empathy or no understanding. Even with Obama, I mean, he had lived our lives before. He had been us before. You know, he had to deal with the healthcare system before. You know, he had to deal with real life. You're making a big mistake to get to somebody. Donald Trump has never been caught in traffic. He's never been caught in traffic. There's a heliport on top of his building. He gets a helicopter to Teterboro Airport, gets on a private jet, and goes wherever he needs to go. Nothing's a hassle for him. He can be a smart aleck. He can pick on people. His whole life, he's had 15 bodyguards. I mean, could you imagine, like in your high school years, it's like, you know, you can just smart off to anybody, but you never have to be in a fight. Somebody's always going to clean up your mess. And that was fine when his dad was cleaning up his mess. That was fine. I mean, that's his dad's money. He keeps screwing it up. They got plenty of money. They'll be fine. But now we're cleaning up his mess. And
isn't it ironic that the man who is so entitled all his life is literally taking away our entitlements that we paid into all these years, our Social Security? You know, he's bankrupting that as we speak.
Well, he thinks that's money's for his rich friends. But a lot of people can't get their mind around that because he's taking away the means of collecting the money for the Social Security. They can't quite understand that means there will be no Social Security. It's like, you know, you have to be able to collect the funds to be able to pay out the people that are going to get their Social Security. So
that's true.
But also,
you know what?
I mean, God bless him. I don't know how the fuck he does it, but that guy is so fucking smart that he will take away everybody's Social Security and they'll be proud to give their Social Security to Donald J. Trump. I'll live on the streets for that man. You know, there are people like that. He has like a cult-like leader kind of quality about him, which is insane. But they will defend anything he does. It's either fake news or, you know what? We're going to hate the troops now. You know, you're right. There are a bunch of suckers. The definition of being a loser is getting killed or getting captured. Yeah, I'm with that. So he backs them into a corner every week, and they have to rebuild in that corner. And either they have to say it's fake news, or you know what, we're gonna throw away that ambition or that moral, you know, for this man. You know, it's insane. It's the weirdest thing.
Another reason,
kind of like we could all laugh at Jim Jones when he took everybody and had them all drink the Kool-Aid. It's like,
what's the difference?
Sucks for them, but it's like, you know, the trouble is we have to drink the Kool-Aid too, man. You know, hey, if all his followers don't drink the Kool-Aid, that's great, but it's like, you know, we're all drinking out of the same well.
Yeah, but what you're forgetting is that the Kool-Aid manufacturers are going to make a lot of money off of it.
Oh, I know.
Right? But it'll all be solved when we get Biden and Kamala Harris in. As a matter of fact, I just noticed that behind me is, that's my latest painting. Yes, we can. And we're also selling that on my site as yard signs and posters that people can use and get the word out.
Well, you remember Edvard Munch's The Scream?
That one I know.
Right. So basically, a painting that is as famous as that painting in the history of art is going on sale, and you can get it for probably 100th of what it's worth. I mean, imagine if they were going to sell Edvard Munch's The Scream for $50,000, and you know what it's worth, and you know its place in history.
Yeah.
That's what's happening right now, and it's like, I know that we're trying to save democracy, but somebody's going to make out like a bandit here, Mike.
Oh, absolute profiteering? Say it's
No,
not
no,
true.
but I mean, it's like at least smart enough to wake up and think, like a Republican bought my Abraham Obama, and I'm like, well, you're a big Republican. Why'd you buy Abraham Obama? And he goes, because that is a piece of history. So right now, people are getting the chance to get a piece of history.
If it's a good investment, if it's a good.
So hey, if you want to regret it later and say, man, you know what, I should have bought that. What the hell was I thinking?
It only goes
like,
up.
You were thinking. That's what you were doing.
Well, who knew, right?
Yeah.
Like the Rosie the Riveter is also another iconic piece of history, I would say. And it, ironically, it was about a woman. It really represents the strength of women in the 40s to fight fascism. And now we've got Kamala is doing pretty much the same thing, right?
Right. No,
I think that's.
No, they're a great team, and it's going to be really nice after they get in. I will be sleeping at night, believe me. Things will get taken care of. Things will get dealt with. Everything won't be politicized. We'll get a vaccine that'll be a real vaccine, not like a fake vaccine that's going to kill half of us that take it. I mean, it'll be nice to go back to normal and build on that. I'm excited for that. I had a life before Trump destroyed it, and I think I can get it back.
Yeah, I remember that. That was fun.
It was great.
Got to see each other. Now, besides being just the godfather of street art and one of the biggest artists of our generation, Ron is also a musical genius, and he's got a whole band and a whole world he created called Delusionville, and the main characters are the rabbits.
And the rabbits are with 3 B's, Mike. Remember?
With 3 B's, rabbits.
The rabbits. So, yeah.
I'm hoping that somehow we could magically show a video from the rabbits.
Like nuts on a banana split, like a blown note in the orchestra pit, like a terrible tune throwing a fit. Fame finds a village idiot. Fame finds a village idiot. Fame finds a village idiot. Fame always finds the village idiot. Like a man who put the knit in wit, like a paper airplane with a co-pilot, like a sexy Bonnie with an extra tip. The last word for the illiterate. Fame finds a village idiot. Fame finds a village idiot. Fame always finds the village idiot. The moth always finds his way to the flame, and God only speaks to the completely insane. With a little arrogance and only half a brain, the whole world will know your name. Short finds the nearest midget, stink finds the nearest armpit, balls find the nearest mint. We know the truth but hate to admit. Fame finds a village idiot. Fame finds a village idiot. Fame always finds the village idiot.
Okay. Well, that was quite a video. I'm not sure which one it was, but I liked it.
Fame finds the village idiot. Man.
No, that
Those
one. Oh,
words
you
were never
heard it?
spoken.
Oh, yeah, I like that one. Yeah.
But,
I tell you, I don't
remember
know.
the name of my band is the Rabbits,
Yeah.
and it's the Rabbits is spelled with 3 B's. RABBB. BITS.
That was easy for you to say. You've been doing this for years.
Yeah, well, it's weird during the this pandemic and the lockdown, we've still been able to make over 100 new songs. So it's kind of interesting because everybody's working in different spaces and it's a little more complicated, but we're rolling on, man.
And can you just, in 25 words or less, explain the concept of Delusionville? Because it's what we're living in the real world. So,
all right, I created Delusionville like kind of when this whole nightmare started. So I wanted to create an alternative universe where all the politics are kind of weirdly upside down. So it's kind of an Aesop's fables meets Animal Farm kind of thing. So they're all animals. So basically on the surface world, all these animals existed and they had their social status. And then when they all go down this rabbit hole, everything gets reversed and they are the opposite of what they were on the surface world. And basically this world was created for me to be able to talk about politics without, getting shot, because it seemed like at some point, maybe it was the Trumpism thing that you weren't, everybody just went ballistic and nobody wanted to hear facts or news or anything. They already made their mind about everything that's ever going to happen in the history of the world and in the future of the world. And you couldn't talk about anything because everybody was insulted or thought you were talking about their guy. So I created this world as a space to talk about religion and politics and social status and the social system in a weird world where they have their own religion, they have their own politics, and they have their own social status, and it's separate from ours. So we can actually talk about these big issues without me, without you thinking I'm messing with your religion or your politics.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's a safe place. Yeah.
Do you think your art, your music, my art, how much of a difference you think we can make with the art? What is the power of art?
Well, the power of art is communication. It's always been there. The cavemen, told their stories or cave women, we don't know, but they told their stories on cave walls. Hitler, maybe it didn't turn out well with him, but you know what? He rallied all those people to do all those evil things using art. So art is a very, very powerful weapon. I'm glad that we have you on our side instead of the other side, because it is a very powerful tool. It helps people understand things. We are far more visual than I think people realize, because usually when you try to express an idea, like if I make a painting, then they want me to write an essay about the painting. It's like, just look at the painting. The painting's saying way more than the essay could ever say, because we are a visual people and it's a visual medium and it can get an idea across succinctly, quickly. And I think it's a very powerful thing. And if anybody's telling you it's not, they probably want you to throw your paintbrushes in the wastebasket.
Oh, there are those who definitely there are people who want to break my knuckles.
You also got to remember, a lot of these people are 15 years old. They're drunk. They're sitting in their parents' basement and they're messing with the famous artist and they think it's funny. And I really got his goat that time. So
they're so clever too.
No, they're not. They're not. If you met them in person, you would not be impressed with them. You know what I mean? And also,
I feel like,
here's the thing. Like, even just with fame, like if you're going to make a big statement, you're going to part the waters. You're going to part the waters, and the bigger statement you make or the bigger impression you make, the farther the waters part. So that means you got a giant wave on each side, and the wave gets bigger and bigger. So like, if I really want to make a statement, then some people are going to be completely on my side and devoted to me, and the other people are just going to be more and more angry. The bigger I get, it balances out. So that's part of it. If you're going to be out there and you're going to do stuff, yeah, you're going to get death threats, and you're going to get, moron 15-year-olds in their basement that think they figured it all out because they just became political 5 seconds ago, or whatever, some angry old guy that has a bunch of dead cats in his basement or something that just, thinks he knows everything. And
that guy. That's my
cousin. But those guys, but also remember, they're on their computer, so they don't have a lot going on to begin with. So they have plenty of time to mess with Michael D'Antuono. You know what I mean? I would not worry about that, man. But also, I feel like, if the right people hate you, you're doing the right thing.
It's better than being ignored, right?
Yeah. No, that with art, the worst thing that you can do to an artist is just ignore them.
Shh! Don't tell them that.
No, like when Mary Boone was promoting Julian's novel, and all the critics go, oh, this is a horror show of an artist, and blah, 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 blah. And then she just brought all the collectors into a room, held up the paper that said, this guy's a horror show of an artist. And she goes, you know what? The critics have not hated an artist this much since Pablo Picasso. And how'd that turn out for him, man? You know what I mean? So, yeah, I would not worry about the criticism. Just as long as it's the people you love aren't criticizing. That's what freaks me out. And sometimes I'll back off something when a lot of people I actually do admire go, Ron, that's actually not the correct statistics. And you do notice that when I put up something, and even if it's not exactly a lie, but it's kind of misrepresenting the facts, that boy, my friends get all over me. You know what I mean? They will not let anything slide. You know, Trumpies will just any piece of like fake info they'll just put out there, and they don't care where it came from as long as it makes their point. You know what I mean? But you know, liberals are weird. They will not let you lie. You know what I mean? But I respect them for that. They keep me honest. You know.
That's true. Why do you think they're not more conservative artists? The comedians and the
You
artists
know, they
are
have
basically liberal.
yeah. Well, they have Ted Nugent and they have Kid Rock. I don't know. It's against the nature of being creative to want this kind of lockdown culture. You know, Republicans just want to shut everything down, keep the money in the hands of the people that already have it, and they don't want a lot of criticism, and they don't want art. You know, they don't like art. Have you ever met a Republican that liked art? I haven't. You know what I mean? Well, except for the guy that bought the Obama painting, but I think he was buying it for financial reasons. But no, I'm just saying, it's just like they're not that into culture. They're not. They're not that open-minded. Just the act of being an artist is the act of being open-minded, and so that's not going to attract conservatives. They're not open-minded.
Better open-minded than empty-headed, right?
I don't know. Yeah.
Hey, you could use that. You could steal it. And speaking of, I think we're going to hear from Malcolm again.
Yay.
Always good to do. So I call this collection Democracy's Last Stands, because I truly believe that this really is democracy's last stand, this current election. What are your thoughts, Malcolm?
You know, you're absolutely right. I've written 3 books about this, and the most noteworthy was a book called The Plot to Destroy Democracy, which was not just so much Trump's being a puppet about all of this. It was really a foreign powers plan to end American democracy as it stood for 244 years. I said it before, we are not a perfect union, right? It's always been 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but we have moved in a march towards progress. But we might be in the last few months of what was the greatest democracy in this world. And there's only one chance now to take it back. If we lose this chance because somebody didn't raise $10, or because somebody wasn't interested enough, or because somebody thought they were a single issue voter and that this wasn't good enough for them, there will be no coming back from this.
Our next painting is titled Lock Him Up. This painting is 56 by 44 inches framed. The painting suggests the wishes of many citizens who are frustrated by the injustice of a criminal leader and the willful negligence of partisan politicians who could protect them. Though the face of the politician is not revealed, the artist offers details of a reimagined flag pinned to the jacket and the diminutive hands that can easily slip through the constraints of justice.
Lock them up. Isn't that what millions of people are wishing for this election or after it? That, you know, Trump with his hands in the handcuffs. I mean, maybe that is the future. I mean, if he loses, where do you see he's going to be?
I don't think that they're going to lock him up. I think that he'll probably pay heavy fines for a lot of stuff his companies have done. But no, I don't see an ex-president going to prison in this country.
Oh, I hope that's not true. I think it should be like, like crimes against humanity. He should be held responsible for, as an example, and his enablers. It should be like the Nazi hunters after World War II for the damage that he's done. Because, you know, it's always been hyperbole to compare someone to Hitler. And I mean, I believe that that's not true in this case. I don't think it's hyperbole at all. I think Hitler might compare favorably. I mean, in the amount of lives ruined and the lives lost. I'm not really sure what the numbers are, but I think Trump's racking them up pretty good right now.
Well, it's similar in that, you know, he's surrounded himself by sycophants who, you know, are going to do whatever he says. He gets rid of all the legitimate people in government that actually serve a function and makes everything about himself. And yeah, it's the same playbook. It's the same playbook. So yeah, people are not worried for no reason. And you know, and also, Hitler was taking meth and he was completely insane, but he was too powerful to take out. And I think we're about to do that same mistake with Trump. So we're gonna have a guy that's kind of at this point insane and self-possessed, and he's gonna be very vengeful against a lot of us. Yeah.
Hitler was also a very unsuccessful artist, isn't that true?
Yeah, his art was kind of banal. It was competent, but there was no originality whatsoever in it. But he did understand art, and he did understand how to use art, and he certainly used art, later. And another weird similarity is, I don't know if you know, on Trump's last trip that he took Air Force One and packed it with art. Did you actually know that?
I did not.
Yeah, he's already looting art. He's already stashing art. He knows the value of art. At least, maybe not the propaganda value as much as Hitler did, but the financial value. Right now, art is like super, super hot because it's weirdly a stable commodity only for the upper classes. So when things get volatile, it tends to stay the same. The blue chip art stays the same. So yeah, Hitler looted art, and our president is also doing the same thing.
Well, you know what? Maybe he's watching now, and Donald, if you're listening,
people buy art for different reasons. Some artists get frustrated.
I'm making my pitch, Ron.
Well, because a lot of people buy art because it does have historical value and it also has monetary value. And basically, how do you know what's going to be really worth something? And a lot of times, is it very much of its time? Is it very famous in its time? Is it known by a lot of people? So like American Gothic, it's like basically your Grant Wood. You have American Gothic. Everybody knows this painting, and now it's actually being made available to go into a private collection. So yeah, somebody's going to figure that out. That with the equation, that it's not that hard of an equation. This painting's going to be worth. I bet before we're both dead that it'll probably crack 50 million. But I think in your children's lifetime that they'll probably see it crack 200 million.
Wow, I see.
Because everything is about how famous it was, how kind of iconic it was. And it's a physical object that exists that expressed something that was very important to express at that moment in time, and it was very much a part of that moment in time. And so it's not just paint on a canvas; it is a part of history.
So I think we're going to hear one more time from Malcolm. Well, this has really been a truly great show, and Malcolm, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your participation. Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this is not a joke where we are today. We are literally at democracy's last stand. Listen, this isn't just about going out and buying art. I buy art. I own some of your art. And it's really about what the people who buy this art will do with it, whether it stays in their house or, as I intend to do at some point, donate it to a museum so that this can get a broader audience. But we can't defend democracy if we're keeping both our mouths closed, our eyes closed, and our wallets closed. This is it. This is truly democracy's last stand. So I really appreciate you inviting me here. I love everything that you're doing. Good luck.
Michael's final painting for this evening is titled Democracy's Last Stand. This painting is 48 by 36 inches oil on canvas. In this painting, Michael uses the Statue of Liberty, one of the most iconic symbols of freedom throughout the world, to summons us to vote and remind us of what is at stake in the upcoming election. Michael has rendered the Statue of Liberty as strong, almost masculine, ready to fight and defend the freedoms that she stands for. She resists with her sword and fends off the threat of fascism with her shield. The palette is pastel and muted, suggesting a calm before the storm, or perhaps an ironic contrast to the imminent threats that she must endure.
Okay, so Democracy's Last Stand, I just quickly to talk a little bit about that painting is that, well, Liberty, she stands for liberty. It's a woman, and she looks a little angry because like I say, this is democracy's last stand, this election, and she's ready to defend herself. And her weapons, well, our weapons is the vote, and that's why we have the shield that says vote D, and the sword, just in case they try to stop us from voting. How important is this election? In 25 words or less, Ron.
Well, how important is this election? I don't know. If you like America, this is your chance to keep it, save it. So yeah, I know it sounds hyperbolic, but it's probably the most important election of our lifetimes, possibly in the history of this country. We're basically deciding whether we want to be totalitarian or we want to stick with democracy.
And that's our choice. And that's our evening for this episode. This is the first of 4. Thank you so much, Ron, for being part of this. It's such a big part.
Thanks for showing my video. That was very nice.
Oh, I always enjoy your video. I play your songs in my car all the time, and soon I'll get a record player or something. But anyway, next week, speaking of music, we're going to have Peter Yarrow of Peter, Paul, and Mary, and he's going to sing "Blowing in the Wind" like he did in the 1963 March on Washington. I Have a Dream. So let's come back and let's all meet again. And that's about it. Let's all do what we can, and I'll see you next week. What do you say? Let's do it.